Right-o, following last week's service interruptions to the customers of the two major telecoms providers, Dr. Andre Horton, opposition spokesperson on science, technology, innovation and entrepreneurship, is calling for stronger protection for Jamaica's telecoms infrastructure, including harsher fines for cable theft and a special task force for telecommunication security. He joins us now to talk through that. Dr. Horton, good morning. How are you?
I am okay. Good morning. Good morning,
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't understand why you're not with us this morning. You're usually here sitting with us. What happened?
Because I got the option to use technology, and given that we are discussing technology, I chose that.
Nice.
Right. Good answer. Good answer. Good answer.
PowerPoint.
And no cable disruption.
And you have good connection.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about this from a high level first. I mean, what happened? Was it last week? Mm-hmm. Last week? Mm-hmm. It seems so long.
Yes.
Not the first time that this would have happened. No.
No.
Maybe not
the first.
Was it the first time that it happened on such a wide scale for such a long time? I'm trying to remember.
Yes, that's the situation.
Okay.
And what happened was that I was home, and when I woke up, I was trying to use the internet for my work as usual, and I recognized that it wasn't connecting. It was saying use cellular network, both on my phone as well as on my computer. And when I made some calls, I recognized that it wasn't just my building, it was the entire area. Mm-hmm. And that prompted me to investigate further. And my investigation showed that, one, it was either theft as well as or direct vandalism. So that's very disappointing, especially in this time. I think that many Jamaicans are too trivial in their approach to make profit, and it has shed light on our ability to coordinate ourselves to move Jamaica into the future. It's very, very disappointing. Very disappointing.
And when you say disappointing, tell me what you mean, because the cable theft, I mean, folks have been thieving the copper wires, thieving the cables for I don't know how long. Mm-hmm. Are you suggesting that these criminals should now all of a sudden be mindful? I'm trying to see what you're pushing for, because I
don't think the value for money that they're getting from the theft is equivalent to the value for money lost in our productivity when these items are stolen, you know?
They don't care, Doc, which is a point I'm making. So tell me what your recommendations are, because they've been doing it for years. They're not thinking about national good. They're thinking about a quick money.
You're right.
So how do we policyrize? How do we, structure? How do we approach this with a call of, let's think about the greater good when these people clearly do not care even a little bit about that?
Yeah, the first thing is for us to establish a special task force for telecommunication security. And this task force would be dedicated to ensuring that telecom providers implement stronger security measures to prevent vandalism and to improve emergency response to the infrastructure. The government outlined last year that they were going to spend US $237 million on a national broadband network, and we haven't heard anything from them where that is concerned. We need accountability where that is concerned. And fundamentally, we need harsher penalties. I mean, when I spoke to one telecoms provider, they said that the penalty for stealing and vandalizing the equipment is about $1 million. And sometimes the people end up vandalizing or stealing over $30 million worth of equipment. So if you can steal 30 million and you only pay back 1 million, then there is nothing preventing you from doing it. 1 million or a year in prison, I heard. So we need stiffer penalties for these actions, and we have to take it serious, because the internet now is like the road. It's like electricity. It is like water, right? It enhances our ability to telecommunicate, to communicate via the internet, to generate income. And many of us who use the internet to generate income were disenfranchised because of the ill manner thinking of Jamaicans. We need to now begin to reorient the mind frame of our people, the petty stealing, the corruption that takes place. We need now to have a brighter outlook for Jamaica's future so that these people can earn higher income from legitimate sources rather than to vandalize and to disrupt the livelihoods of others around them. I think it's a selfish way of approaching business for many of these thieves.
We fully agree with you.
Yeah. The thing about it as well, though, Doc, is that the truth is our wires are exposed. You know, we don't have underground wiring for our connection. You know, as far as your knowledge serves you, though, is there a model that we can adopt coming from another country that has done well?
That's a statement that you just made, Debbie. We don't have underground wiring. And this has been a proposal that has been put on the table for years now, that we need a spatial plan. When I came back from England, I worked with some other consultants on a white paper that established a spatial plan for Jamaica. And this spatial plan puts the country in layers, right? A layer for electricity, a layer for water, a layer for sewage, a layer for all the different public types of infrastructure that a country needs. And I think this is where the planning ought to go. I believe that we've been holding ourselves back in this third world developing mentality. I believe that much of the spending that takes place and much of the things that are budgeted for by the government tend not to come to fruition too soon enough.
But many people may argue that putting the wires on the ground now is going to, one, cost a lot. We're going to have a lot of displacements for this to happen. You know, I was asking you if within your knowledge you've seen another country that has the kind of infrastructure that we currently have, that has put in place, you know, measures to combat against the theft of the fiber wires.
Yeah, there are many other countries who have been able to run their cables underground. I mean, there are always going to be excuses. For example, flooding is an excuse. If they put it underground and it gets wet and damaged, then it will disrupt the signal. There are a lot of excuses, but notice that the wires are run under sea from one country to the next. So if the wires are run under sea, it means the wires can be run underground without us worrying about flooding if the right mechanisms are in place.
Aren't those in the larger, more developed countries, though, that have bigger budgets and better resources?
Jamaica now, our debt to GDP ratio is less than 80%. And I think that it's getting lower and lower by the year because our GDP now is inching up because of inflation and the debt is practically the same. So the debt to GDP ratio is going down. What this means is that we're going to have more money in the capital budget, and we must figure out what are the best uses for these sums. Not just the idea of sustainable internet is important, but also the idea of sustainable electricity. So we also need our electricity, and it beautifies the place. If wires are run underground, it makes the place look brighter and make the place
aesthetically more pleasing. Doc, let me ask you a question. In your research, have you found that even at $1 million fine, are we holding the folks? Are we holding people accountable? Have we been robust to find the people that are doing this, and have they been punished? Because the other thing is, if people don't feel like justice going to reach them don't business leader. So have you found that we have been finding the people who are responsible for doing this?
Not in its entirety. We have found sometimes, but sometimes the perpetrators elude law enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that is why we are proposing as well to establish a system where we use $5 million to buy 2,800 drones, and these drones will be 200 per parish, and we'll grid up each parish, and we'll have 2,800 drone operators per shift, 3 shifts per day, and with this we'll be producing 10,000 jobs, and as well as we'll be having high-tech drone operators. So what we're doing is lifting the skill set of our people and monitoring the airspace of our country. And this will twin up the so-called Jamaica Eye program in order for us to be able to see what's happening, alert the police, and use this network to provide a safer and more secure Jamaica, not just for the people, but for our critical infrastructure that we need.
True. Well, we have much to do, Doc, and we thank you so much for your time. We're out of time, actually, but we thank you so much for chiming in and allowing us to have this discussion, all right? That was Dr. Andre Horton.
Have a wonderful morning.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Doc. You
Opposition spokesperson on science, technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship.
Coming up.
Coming up, we hear from a 17-year-old business owner. That should be very interesting. Stay with us.